Shalom, this is James, and this is Deliverance with Yah Only. This is the third video of many more to come. I am a servant of the Most High Yah, and assigned brother in the truth to speak truth to you. I will be speaking with you under the title of Life Coach for spiritual deliverance, detoxing of spirits and sinful habits, removing spirits and maintaining your freed up status and seal, breaking covenants, agreements, and habits from spirits. This is not a camp of any form. This is simply a channel name for the Most High's work to be done and presented to you. Today's video is going to be speaking about some reasons why you are possessed by many spirits. And I want to start off giving you guys my contact information for my email if anybody needs that. It is DWYO deliverance@yahoo.com. That is DWYO deliverance@yahoo.com. That is the email. Feel free to contact me on that email and tell me your situation, different things like that. That's how you can get a hold of me. Now, starting off this video today, we'll be talking about some reasons why you are possessed by many spirits. There are many different reasons why in life is so complicated. We have so many things that we have going on all at the same time. A lot of people struggle with keeping those things at bay, keeping balance, not really knowing what's the right thing to do in many different situations. And that's one of the reasons why the Most High had the priest in place, why the Most High had the fathers in place in their homes, the mothers, the children, everybody having a structure and a place in each other's lives. And especially when it comes down to copper color people, y'all know what has gone on with our struggle and how complicated things have become. And by reading Deuteronomy 28, you'll definitely see how those curses are on Israel, on the copper color people. That is my belief. I haven't really stated that full blown to you guys yet. Everything that I believe, that'll come in a future video, most definitely, because it does have an impact on this deliverance working for you, and you being lawful, you keeping the Most High's commandments. And we're actually going to get into some of his commandments today and the judgments, the results of people breaking his commandments, and why a lot of these spirits end up in people. But first, to start off, to give encouragement and to give an example of someone who did receive a high regard, comment, statement from the Most High about himself was Job. And I want to talk about Job as an example of what it is that we need to be doing when it comes down to deliverance, what it is that is going to be done. And when I say what we need to be doing, let me jump into that. So, Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil. Now, the main word that I want to focus on is eschewed. Of course, as I said, the Most High gave him a very good report of being a perfect and upright man. And so I'm gonna speak on that later, as far as churches and things like that, who are saying that no one was perfect except for the idol Jesus. And here we have in this book of Job, the Most High saying, here's one right here, perfect and upright. But I'm going to handle that later. So, anyways, let's focus on the shrewd evil. Now, when people don't look up terms, they draw their own conclusion, lean to their own understanding. When you look up the word eschewed, this is what it will say. It's a verb. It says having nothing to do with. It gives other words to define it. It says abandon, avoid, renounce, shun, abstain, give up, not touch, steer clear of. So now, what Job was doing, he was steering clear of, not touching. He gave up whatever things that needed to be given up for him to be that perfect and that upright man that the Most High was able to give that high report of. And speaking of Job, and so with that said, everybody knows Job for being the one who was attacked by Satan, and the Most High speaking with Satan, because the Most High is, and he did create good and evil. That is in the Old Testament. You can look that up. The Most High created both. So with that being said, the Most High is not in a battle, a fight against Satan. The Most High is the boss of Satan, if you want to say he is anything. He is the Most High. Satan has to obey his orders. And with that being said, he was sent to Job for a reason. And speaking on that topic, we'll get to that another day, having to do with why that was the case, possibly, if the Most High has me to do that. But for this video, speaking on eschewing evil, that is what we have to do. Even me, even now, I have to eschew evil, and that plays the role in maintaining your, as I said earlier, maintaining your freed up status and your seal. When you do get fully delivered, you will receive a seal from the Most High. And that seal of his anointing being on you will protect you from being overtaken by spirits as you continue on to obey the Most High, as you continue on to eschew evil, basically. So we're going to talk about many different evils that have to do with culture, mainly in America, because that's where I'm living at, and traditions, pagan days, church, family. We're just going to jump right into it, because these are the main basic core things that everybody has to choose a side on, pick what they're going to do, what they're going to celebrate, whether it's pagan days like Christmas, Easter, things that are made up, or whether they're going to honor the Most High's holy days, feast, Sabbaths, and new moons. And so by honoring the Most High's word, what he commanded for us to do, honoring his days, things like that, that is in a way you eschew evil. And so with that being said, that is basically one of the hugest parts for the deliverance working. Um, as I said in the introduction, with breaking covenants, agreements, and with spirits, one of the things that you have to do when you break those covenants and things like that, you have to mean it, for one. For two, you also have to be ready to break ties, break the actions, break the attitudes, how you speak, all of these different things like that, that all support that spirit, that keeps that spirit strong, that keeps that covenant, that agreement between you and that spirit strong. You have to break that. You have to renounce that. You have to, reaching back to Job, you have to give that up, not touch it, steer clear of it, shun it, abstain from it, abandon it, avoid it, have nothing to do with it. And so when you do that, you are walking in the right direction. And when you do walk in the right direction, that is where you will actually be being freed up. Those spirits won't have so much power over you. They will be being weakened by you refraining, stopping, abstaining, giving up, not touching these things that are some of the things that we're going to talk about now, because not everybody's lifestyle is the same. People live different lifestyles, obviously. People like certain things, and a lot of things that people do, they don't even like. And it's really because the spirits inside of them are causing them to do that, because those spirits have gained so much ground inside of the individual that the person is actually hates doing something, but that spirit inside of them makes them do it, or has been there so long, and this person has not fought against it, confronted it, anything, and eventually the person just accepts what the spirit has been doing for the longest. All of the habits, all of the routines, all of the rituals, whatever it is, that spirit's been doing, and that person may have done probably once, or a couple times, and after that it was over. They may have tried to stop and couldn't. That's where the drugs come in. That's where smoking comes in. That's where a lot of things that are not good for your health, people cannot quit, and they don't know why. They struggle with it, they fight with it, and with that being said, if there's something that you're doing that you want to stop and you want to be done with, but you can't stop doing it, that means that you're in disagreement with a situation and you doing something that you're physically doing, but it's still happening. And you're the one who is in control of yourself. No one is in control of anybody else, their thoughts, their actions, all of those things like that. But, you know, when it comes down to a personal level, I'll say, because, jobs and different things like that. So let's talk about some of these topics where eschewing evil is so important. And by not eschewing evil, the traditions, the culture, the pagan days, churches, and family will lead people directly into a place where they will be opened up and where spirits will just funnel in, whether it's traditions, you know, I wasn't always in the truth, knowing all about the Most High. I just knew that I wanted to serve God and that I believed in Him and that I was looking for Him. I knew He was speaking to me, looking for me to acknowledge Him and things like that. And I acknowledged Him, but I didn't really know because I didn't have anyone around to reveal Him to me on a better level because they didn't know Him like I know Him now and like how things have been revealed to me now. And so when it comes down to traditions and listening to other people and what they're going to tell you is right, you talk about pagan days and the culture, what one person doesn't know won't hurt them. All of these different types of sayings, philosophies, that makes up the culture. All of these different things have a price that people pay. Not everybody pays the same price. Not everybody has the same situation. But, you know, depending on the situation and everything like that and how everything is set up, some people have ended up not really paying anything or, paying some. And then other people have paid with their life, just depending on what it is. If a woman cheated on a man and the man was, had spirits and was, ready to just hurt somebody like that, you know, that was the situation where that happened. And, if she thought that what he didn't know wouldn't hurt him, then, that's where she found out that it would hurt her. And, I don't condone any of that. Most High says, thou shalt not kill, and, all those things like that. But, just speaking on it. So, people doing anything to please people, that's one of the things that is promoted in tradition, promoted in culture, promoted with pagan days and Valentine's Day and all these different things. Just go all out, for this person, whether they deserve it or not. And a lot of people are not knowing who they are and knowing what people say is their worth. They just do anything for anybody. They don't have any requirements. They don't have any standards for certain people. And these are only certain people. Not everybody is like this. And I don't even agree to the whole thing of a person saying they know their worth because to me, all people are, priceless. So, there is no price that you put on anybody. And so when people say they know their worth, I would still say that it's them still undervaluing themselves so they can say it all they want, but they mean something completely different. They mean that what they're getting, they can get more and they can get a better deal somewhere else or whatever the case may be than what they're being offered. But, you know, it all depends on what they want to say. A lot of people over exaggerate a lot, and that is a spirit too, where people over exaggerate, and it's just ridiculous. So let's stay on topic. So when it comes down to people not knowing who they are, they end up giving spirits and people the opportunity to tell them who they are, and that leaves them completely open. A lot of women, a lot of men talk about dealing with narcissists. They talk, and that's a spirit as well. They talk about dealing with people who took them for everything, mistreated them, all different types of things. And when people actually think about it, or you actually think about your life and yourself, you have to think about whether that's what you've done. This is the self-reflection part where you have to be honest with yourself, transparent with yourself, as far as whether this is you. If this is you, this is you. There's no one else to blame, anything like that, because a lot of people like to blame other people for things. But for this deliverance, you are going to have to pay attention to yourself and understand who you are, what you've done, acknowledge what you've done, and then when you acknowledge that, then you can move forward if that is your true issue. And so, you know, there's a case and situation where there was a woman who wanted her husband to tell her who she was and what her faults were and what her good points were and everything like that. And if he was a wicked man, he could tell her she was nothing. He could tell her she was beneath him in dirt and whatever else. And that is a dangerous place for a person to put themselves in, is to not do the work themselves and find out who they are, take the time out to find out who they are and get those answers. That's why deliverance is one of the greatest places to do that and one of the greatest methods to do that, get freed up from spirits, because as I said earlier, a lot of things that people do they truly hate. But when people see them doing that, they judge them based off of what they see them doing, even though the person hates it. So if somebody judges them and say, oh, they're a bad person because they do this, but then the person replies back and says, I really hate it, I don't want to do it. The other person who already judged them is like, well, then stop doing it. It's that simple. But the person who's being judgmental is not taking into consideration the spirits. They're not taking in consideration what is actually going on with this person. And that's a whole nother reason why you have to be watchful of who you talk to, listen to, let people speaking into your life, because a lot of people who try to speak into your life, they got spirits themselves, and those spirits have agendas, and they're trying to add more spirits to you by judging the person. They get take it however they want to, get emotional about it. That's what those spirits do, get people very emotional. And so when it comes down to culture, talking about people doing role playing and with their relationships and trying to be somebody else, put a wig on, do all of these different things, that's a whole different personality, a whole different person, changing up your whole demeanor, who you are, everything like that. If somebody has to do that with you, then they most likely have a spirit on them, and then you accepting that, and then they most likely calling you by a different name and all of that. You know, that's all types of um, opening yourself up for these spirits, and they will set it up through a person who you're attracted to, who you like. It doesn't matter. If they can get in there, they'll get in there, and role playing is one. And that's where, I like movies, everything like that. And when it comes down to the actors and actresses and speaking about the culture and traditions and everything like that, these people are married and they're on camera kissing other people on who they're not married to on camera, basically, committing adultery. People can make light of it all they want, but at the end of the day, at the end of that movie, that person in their life and the results and whatever spirits were transferred from that other person they were kissing, that they're not married to, that they're not in covenant with, those spirits transferring through that kiss, through whatever, actions that they've done, because some people go beyond the movie and the scenes and the lights being on and all that. They're transferring spirits between each other, and those spirits are setting things up so that they can get into an individual person. And so, as I said, That's the culture. People used to seeing that, doing that. And I wanted to also speak on people in entertainment having multiple names and personalities, because when it comes down to their screen name, depending on whoever you want to choose, that's not their real name. Then you think about all of the nicknames that they have that they accept and go by, you know, that's even more spirits and names and personas that they actually have operating inside themselves. I remember seeing a Johnny Depp interview, and he was saying that he doesn't watch his movies, and he was saying because it's him up there on the screen. He's not speaking about himself. He's saying it's something else. Somebody else is on the screen. He doesn't like watching his movies because he sees him. And, it's just things like that the Most High, when I watch certain things and he leads me to watch certain things, you really have to take people's words literally, that they're being honest and telling the truth, especially if it's something that is really nothing worth lying about. And then also at the same time, if he was lying, Most High wouldn't have had me watching that video in the first place. So, I trust the Most High to that,